Lovely weather today. All right, and welcome back, everybody. And what a fantastic weekend it was last weekend, where we got to run the F-4 last week and see where we're at as far as her systems go, finding any leaks, and how the hydraulics are operating. I'll touch on that in a moment. So again, for those that have just recently discovered the channel, welcome. To get you guys caught up, this is the last, or I should say, this is the only flight-worthy F-4 Phantom in the entire United States. There could be a few more over at the boneyard that could be brought back to life, but those are pretty much preserved at this point. But she's it as far as the United States goes. And to go with that, is this a restoration? No, this has always been a airworthy F-4 Phantom since the Foundation received her in 1999, I believe. So she has always been airworthy. This isn't a restoration. There is one that is, or was under restoration, that is for sale right now. I believe that's over on the West Coast somewhere. And that is a much older Navy version of the F-4, but that one isn't anywhere close to flight, to my knowledge. A couple of quick questions that we get to answer frequently. Did Colonel Olds ever fly this airplane? No, he did not. We have no record that he ever flew this particular Phantom. All right, to go with that, this is not her real tail number. She is only painted to represent a Vietnam-era F-4 Phantom. And what better one to represent than the very one that Colonel Olds flew for Operation Bolo in early 1967. So she is only painted to look like the Bolo bird. That one was an F-4 Charlie, and from our research, the real 7680 was shot down in November of 1967. It got hit by a surface missile and crashed into the Gulf of Tonkin. Our research on this, the weapon, the back seat, the Wizzo, made it out of the aircraft and survived. It's unclear whether the pilot got out or not. I don't know if he was able to make it out in time, but he did not survive the crash in any event, unfortunately. So our F-4, her real tail number is 650749. So I hope that clears up some of the confusion sometimes, because she has one different tail number actually painted on her tail, but her real one is right there, 650749. So she never went to Vietnam. She spent the bulk of her Air Force career in Europe at various bases, I believe Hahn, Germany, Torreon, Spain, RAF Bentwaters, amongst others. So her main duty in the Air Force was flying the nuclear deterrent mission over in Europe before she came back stateside, served with a couple of Air National Guard units, one in Kansas, her last one right here at this airfield, the Texas 147th, before she got retired to the boneyard around 91. All right, and the last question I get a lot in the comments is, where are we at? We are located at Ellington Airfield down here on the south side of Houston, Texas. So that's where we're based out of, and we are one of 4 museum organizations here at this airfield. There is a lot of awesome aircraft here. So you have Collings Foundation, which is us, that's with the F-4. We have 6 aircraft down here. Just off the top of my head, the F-4, the F-100, TA-4J Skyhawk, a ME-262, a T-33, and a UH-1E Huey. And of the 6, the Huey is a Vietnam combat vet. Now, the other museum organizations that we have here, you have Vietnam War Flight Museum. We work very closely with them. They have several of the MiGs, a lot of the cool aircraft that you guys got to see in Wednesday's video. You also have the National United States Armed Forces Museum. They own and operate all the CH-46 Sea-Knight helicopters. And then you also have Lone Star Flight Museum. They have an impressive facility nearby. also at this airfield. They fly a lot more of the Warbirds, so they have a B-25, the Stearman's, PT-19, or yeah, PT-19 Cornell, and there's a TBM Avenger, and they fly those regularly, and I'll catch them in the sky most weekends as well. And if you guys are ever down here around Houston, well worth the visit to Lone Star. They have an impressive facility down there. But yes, we are one of 4 museum organizations here at this airfield, and just want to clarify that because of all the different aircraft that you guys may get to see here, right here on the channel. All right, so let's go check out this fuel valve. All right, here we are underneath engine number 2, and this valve right there, that's the P and D valve, which I believe stands for pressure and drain, and that's the valve that opened up and vented fuel overboard whenever the engine was shut down the other day. And if you follow its lines, it comes down through this one, tees into this manifold, heads back, and comes out one of these. I believe it's this drain right here. That's when the fuel was pouring out of the aircraft on shutdown, that's where it was coming out, but it's that valve right there, so we need to address that. We're also thinking that that valve may be responsible for the slow starts, because engine 2 is, for us, has always taken a fairly long time to get spun up, and other than the time, she's never hit any of the temperature limitations or fuel flow limits. So she's just always been slow, and that valve may be the reason why, especially seeing it vent fuel overboard on shutdown, which is not normal, not on an F-4 anyway. So we're going to be looking at this valve and more than likely replacing it, and we'll check that out on the next engine run. When that is, I don't know yet. We still got some other stuff to address around the aircraft, like the hydraulics, and addressing any of the leaks that we found, which there's almost always leaks. Oh, and a correction from last weekend on my part. It's not the engine that's moving on her mounts that causes the nozzle to kind of like retract into the fuselage. That's just how the nozzle actuators work on this series of engine. We have the, for those that know J79s, we have the -15 variant, and this is the nozzle. And as the nozzle pedals close, this retracts into the fuselage a bit. Now, the later variants of the J79, like the -17s on the E model and newer, they had a more traditional nozzle, and they did not retract into the aircraft as the nozzles opened and closed. So, small correction on my part. It's not the engine moving around. It's just how the nozzle works. Always impressive when hearing those big engines. So not a huge amount going on here at the hangar today. There's only a handful of us that showed up, and none of us can really work on the airplane. So our goal is to be ready by this year's air show. And what I mean by that, for those, again, for those that are new, so right here at Ellington Field, every October is Wings Over Houston. Our goal is to be ready to fly in the air show this year for Wings Over Houston. Last year, our F-100 helped with doing the Vietnam War reenactment demonstration. That was really cool. F-100, some CH-46, an AH-1 Cobra, the Sky Raider. There was a lot of cool stuff. I got video of that. That's further back on the channel, so check that out if you guys are interested. But yeah, our goal is to be ready by the air show, and after that double engine run last weekend, that goal feels so much closer now. And so there's not a huge amount left, nothing major anyway. Still got to take care of the fuel valves and take care of a few leaks, sort out that comm system. That's a lot lower on the priority list because that's for radio 3, and we got 2 other perfectly functional. But yeah, we'll make it good beforehand. But that's the goal. So not as exciting today, unfortunately, but still get to see some Viper action, and we'll have more coming up. So in any event, thank you all for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time.